everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. Today, my special guest, Miss Yasmin Flores Montanez. How are you, Yasmin? Nice to see you.
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's rainy here in Southern California, so it's coming down pretty good. Hopefully, in Spain, it's really nice.
No, it's
No,
cold.
is it? Yeah.
Well, I think it's not as cold as the US. I saw in the news you guys were getting a lot of snow, so definitely not
Yeah.
as cold.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Southern California, so we don't get too much snow, but it has been really crazy, and it's raining really bad today. So hopefully we don't have any issues with Wi-Fi when it rains sometimes. But I really appreciate you coming on, and I wanted to talk about your career. I've seen a couple other interviews that you have done, and I think your career is awesome. The
Mhm.
Milestone Spotlight, I think, is incredible. So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about your history in comics and what you're doing right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
So I don't know where to begin.
Maybe at the
I guess
beginning, I mean, how did you get into drawing? Was that a passion from like a very young age, or did it come a little bit later in life?
I it has been a passion all my life,
Yeah.
but I stopped drawing because people always tell you like you can't live on a drawing or illustrations. So I did when I was a kid. I used to draw every day and like watching Batman the animated series, Teen Titans, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff really got me into drawing basically. Um, and then I stopped completely because I grew through all my teen years and everything, but then you're gonna go after high school to college, and everybody was like, you can't live out of art, so I kind of stopped um drawing, and then I studied something else. I still wanted art in my life, so I studied art history and languages. Um, I know a lot of languages.
That's impressive.
um, but it wasn't like it was my passion, but not my real passion, you know. I liked it, but it wasn't something that made me smile every day, you know. So I finished my degree and I was going to apply to my master's degree to continue on, to have a PhD and everything in art history. But as I was working at an art gallery and met other artists that were doing what they wanted to do and were living out of this. And it's a completely different industry with the fine art industry. But um, I don't know, I got like thinking, wait, I used to love comic books. I used to draw all the time. What am I doing? Like I like these, but I don't feel like I love it. So I knew I was rusty. Like, I would draw sometimes, but it has been years of not drawing. And I felt like I needed time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. Like my parents would not be okay with it, of course. Um, and I said, look, I'm gonna study a master's degree in illustration, um, just to give myself time to like again get better and I don't know how you would say it, like take out all the rustiness.
Yeah. That's good.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's basically what I started to do and going to cons. I went to a lot of cons to get feedback. I got destroyed.
Oh no. I mean, that's good, I guess, now, but not fun to go through, right?
I mean, I don't know if it's like I'm a masochist about it, but I like, I feel like I liked it because people were being honest with
Yeah.
me. And I guess I, since I started to get more like try to follow the comic book industry path was in my like 24, 25. Um, so I was already a little bit more mature and ready to take all of that feedback that they destroy me. But it was good because I tried to apply those notes. And I guess it was in 2018 where I got my first shot, but it was on an online with Oni Press, web comic anthology.
Oh,
That
okay.
was like my first. paid gig, and that's why I say it's the first, because it was the first paycheck.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah, I mean that's incredible because Oni Press is a big publisher. I mean they publish a lot of really good comics. So I think that's a really good first start. And it was a web comic that you would go through their website to read. Yeah.
yeah, I mean they did this web comic anthology for it was titled Draw Out the Vote.
Okay.
So each state had like a one pager, and they included Puerto Rico, even though it's not a state, and I don't want to get into all of that, but they did include it because Puerto Ricans can vote in primaries. Um, so they included that, and they wanted me to do it. So I was like, okay, yes. So I wrote it and lettered it and drew it and everything. Um, that was like the first big thing. And I thought that after that, you would get more opportunities, but no,
Nothing, huh? Nothing came out of that right away.
no. It was a year after that something came. So I just kept concentrating on my work and working with other writers that were starting now with me at the same time. And I think that's very important. Sometimes people concentrate on, the big names, but maybe you should look at the people that are starting with you and, grow together in that path. And that's what I did. And I'm working with some of my friends that are publishing right now. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
really good feedback, Yasmin, for up and coming artists, right? I think everyone wants to go straight to DC, straight to Marvel, but sometimes there's another path that you have to take in order to get there, right?
yeah, and like working with your own books is also special. I think it because it's really hard to get into DC and Marvel, and the competition is tough because it's worldwide basically. Um, so starting to work on your own books with people that also want to do comic books is really a good way to also get their attention. Um, and so that's what I did. And in 2019, I was considered for a book with I don't know if you remember, I don't know if they still have it, but IDW and Marvel had a comics action line. It was called Marvel Action Line. Um, and they were considering me for one of their books. I didn't get it, but I guess my consolation prize was to do a variant cover for one of the books, which was Captain Marvel #3. Sweeney Boo did the amazing interior work. And I got to do a variant cover, which was great. I was like, yay, this is great because, I was in contact with people with IDW and Marvel, and I was like, okay, I'm getting my foot in the door. But again, nothing happened for a whole year.
So you like every year you get one little thing and then you have to wait another year pretty much.
Yeah, but I would still keep doing stuff. I was studying also at the time my master's degree, and at the same time going to conventions and trying to establish network and doing I started to also work with Megan Fitzmartin. Um, she has done a lot of stuff for DC recently. She's amazing. And back then she still hadn't started working for DC, and we were both doing like a little comic and kind of learning both at the same process. Um, so then the pandemic hit in 2020. And I was like, oh no, all the plans to go to conventions. Oh no. But I actually got another gig, which was Goosebumps with IDW. Um, and I was the artist for the whole thing. And I was like, for sure, this is the time it's gonna happen again. And after the series ended, it didn't went a year, but it went a few months of nothing again.
That's
So
kind of
I guess it's
frustrating,
a
huh?
lot. Well, yeah, it's a lot of perseverance. I think at least that has been my journey. I know some artists get it like from the first, and then others that take also like a long time. Um, And then I signed a original graphic novel book, which came out last year in October, titled Si Se Puede.
Yeah, si se puede. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yes, it was more like a passion project also because it's about the Latinos that have contributed to the history of the United States and not like the writer, he's from Miami. He was like, you don't get to learn about these people that much, and that was the whole idea, to try to bring up the spotlight to all these historical figures. And I signed in because I was like, I like it. It's good to know more.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and then after that, it was DC announced their talent hunt, and I was like, I don't know if I should apply or not because I already had signed a book deal, and my time was being consumed by that. And also, other work so I can get my bills paid. So um, I said like, you know what, whatever. I know they're gonna say no. I'm just gonna apply. And then no, I was actually one of the ones chosen, and I was like, oh my God, yay! I can't believe this.
That's
I
awesome.
cried. Yeah, I cried. I literally, they told me in the Zoom meeting, and they because they wrote an email of like saying like, oh, we have one last step of another interview because it was a whole process, a very long process. And I felt like, oh my God, I don't know what they're gonna say. Are they gonna be like tough, fast questions or something? And then it was just a video telling you that you got in, and I just kind of, and they were recording you, so they just saw me just cry.
Well, I think that's pretty neat though to for them to understand how important it was for you though. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And then a lot of people don't realize the years that you work to get to that point too. So I think that's a very natural response to something like that. I think I would have cried too. That's pretty awesome. So you get in. What's the first thing that you do for DC once you become part of that program? Because you've done several things since then with DC.
So the first thing was finish the program. Um, and it was like, okay, they're gonna publish it, but they published it a lot later than the other stuff that started to come out with that I started to do with DC, because after the program finished, and everybody had to do a short story. Um, that was later, how do you say it, reunited in an anthology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
um, And so after that was finished, the program was finished and everything, you follow up. You follow up with the editors, the ones that you felt like a connection. And that's what I did. And they gave me a shot on some covers with the one with The Adventures of Superman, Jon Kent, #1, Batman versus Robin, #5, Action Comics 1054, The Flash,
Flash. Yeah.
796 and 797. So those were like the first things that I started to do before getting backup stories, um, which I'm still lucky enough to do. um,
Can you talk a
so
little bit because in that program you were also given a mentor, correct?
yes,
And
yes,
I think your mentor is pretty special. Can you kind of go into who your mentor was?
yes. My mentor was Francis Manifold. I still think he's my mentor because he still has our um, on Discord, we still have the group.
Oh,
And he
good.
like I saw him at New York Comic Con and we talked, and he was like, if you ever need anything, the group is still there. Just shoot an email or like a message. And yeah, he was very special. He helped, like, first of all, I love Francis' work, and I try not to freak out when I got him as a mentor. Um, but yeah, it was great because he helped us a lot. I was partnered up with Ashley Allen, who's also publishing stuff or has published stuff for DC and Marvel as well. She's a writer and a terrific writer, and um, he went above and beyond for us. He will help us. He will have, like a weekly meeting at first, and then if not, like he would be like, if you guys need anything, we will get in a like a chat like this and just go all over the script, all the pages, and he will be like, okay, you can draw this better, this angle is better, and you know why, and he would explain it everything detail by detail, and you were like, oh, all the time I would be like, this guy is amazing, like his brain as a storyteller and as an artist is well, that's why he's Francis,
Yeah, exactly.
that's why every um so he was a great mentor, and he still is, and a great guy. Like when everybody says that Francis is the nicest guy, yes, that is true.
It is. He is amazing. Yeah, he's definitely. I'm a big DC fan, so he's definitely one of my favorites. Especially his Flash run that he had was
He's Flash.
incredible. Yeah.
Yes, the Flash brand is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's incredible. So then you have Francis. He's helping with the mentoring. Can you kind of walk through as you start to graduate from the program with DC? What happens next for you?
Um, so what happened afterwards was like you had to email them. You had to keep in contact with them because if you don't, I looked at the program as a Mario Kart star that you have, you get it and you have the boost, and then you have to get the other star. So you had to follow up with them. So that's kind of what happened. And then after that, it kind of snowballs. If you do a good job, you get another one, and you get another one, you get another one. That was what I was hoping that would happen back in 2018. But now it's like, I've matured more as an artist, and they know me more. And it's like one after another. And you start also building contacts with other writers and artists. And they also, since they started with you, they also start recommending you. And the editors will keep seeing your name, and they would be like, okay, let's give this person a shot.
That's
So that's
awesome.
what kind of happened. But DC was great. DC has been, they gave us workshops not only like in our artistic, or not like in our craft, but also they gave us financial workshop, and they gave us so much knowledge. And we met Jean Lee. That was insane to me. Like, sitting here, it was great. It was great. DC was really cool, and they always had like they always say like if you need something, let us know. And they really did try, like they went above and beyond for everybody at the Milestone program.
Incredible. You had a video interview. I think you were at New York Comic Con, and I can't remember the gentleman's name that was interviewing, but he asked a really great question. Is there one character that you want to draw that you haven't had a chance to draw yet for DC? And can you kind of walk us through that? Because I think it came true.
Yes, I love Jessica Cruz. And I know people are gonna say like, oh, it's because she's a Latina. No, no, it's not because. I mean, that's a plus,
For
but
sure. I mean,
it's
she's amazing. Yeah.
but it's because I struggle a little bit with anxiety as well, and I felt very connected to this character story, and I really did love her. And every time a story would come out, I just jump in and be like, Jessica. So I kept saying, I told in my interview for the Milestone, I was like, my favorite character is Jessica Cruz. I've been like saying Jessica Cruz in interviews, Jessica Cruz. Every time somebody would say something at the program, I would be like, Jessica Cruz. Like subconscious, not subconsciously because I would be keep saying it, but I was very direct.
I love it. I love
um,
it.
and then Paul, who's the editor at Metropolis, Superman, and everything. He was at New York Comic Con, just going around doing the rounds, and he went by my table and said hi, and I was like, I want to draw Jessica Cruz. She's my favorite character. And he was like, let's do it. I was like, yes. So sometimes you have to be direct. When you already have like, a little bit of of relationship with the editors, sometimes you have
Yeah.
to say like, I would love to to dive into this. And yeah, so Green Lantern #9 coming in March. You get a backup story of Jessica by
Yes,
me.
so incredible, incredible. So that's with Jeremy Adams, right?
Yes, Jeremy Adams is writing the main
And then you'll
story.
have the story at the end.
Yeah, with Sam Humphries.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So
Congratulations. That's amazing.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Jeremy Adams is one of my favorite writers right now. I love Green Lantern and what he's doing. And he hasn't said anything, but it seems like he's bringing a lot of the lanterns, especially the Earth lanterns, together. So I think Jessica, Simon Baz, I think a lot of these other characters are going to play larger roles here very soon. So you probably know more than I do, so don't say anything. But yeah, I can't wait because
I
I
can't
also
say anything.
yeah, I know. Don't say nothing. I don't want to ruin any chance of you getting any more DC work. But yeah, no, it's incredible. I love it. And I'm so happy that some of these other lanterns that haven't got a lot of love over the last few years are starting to see some love. So I agree with you. And Jessica Cruz, I think, is a very relatable character. I think to a certain extent, right, a lot of people have some issues with anxiety, and the way that she, how she came to be a lantern and what she had to experience to become a lantern, and then all the struggles since then, I think are very relatable. So I think she's an important character. So I don't blame you for enjoying her. I enjoy her myself too. But I'm a big Green Lantern. That's my favorite of DC is Green Lantern.
Yeah, I'm a big Green Lantern fan as well, of obviously Jessica Cruz. um, but I also love Wonder Woman, of course, and Batman.
For sure. I mean, can't go wrong with any of those, Jasmine. No.
No, no. I mean, I mean, I love Marvel as well, especially the X-Men because I grew up watching the animated series, so I feel very attached to the X-Men. But I okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say I've read more DC stuff recently. Um, there, I said it. But I think it's because I've also enjoyed more. I feel more related to some of the characters, which I think people sometimes don't necessarily believe that they could be related more with characters because they're, a little bit not liar, larger than life.
Yeah.
Um, and like some of the Marvel characters are a little bit more like, you see them into their day-to-day lives and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel more related to some of the characters of DC. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I'm the same. I grew up a DC person. Justice League was the cartoon. I have a feeling I'm a little bit older than you, Yasmin. So, but when I was growing up, we had the Justice League, which John Stewart was the Green Lantern at that time before Hal
Mm,
Jordan in Justice League. So John Stewart's always kind of been my favorite Green Lantern because that's what I grew up with. But yeah, I mean, I love, like you said, I just grew up DC, so I collect a lot of DC, but it doesn't mean I don't like Marvel. Spider-Man's
yeah.
amazing. Miles Morales is amazing. I got a whole shelves over here full of Marvel stuff. So I love them both. I just gravitate toward DC because that's what I was raised on, but nothing wrong with either of them, right?
See, you said it so beautifully. It's exactly that. I love them both. I have also bookshelves of, both DC books and Marvel books. But there's some characters that I gravitate towards more. Um, Jessica being one of them.
Exactly.
Also, I know I look young, but I'm not as young as I look.
Okay. All right. Well, someone I shouldn't probably ask your age, so we'll stay away from that conversation. But yeah. But can you? There's another part about being an artist which I think is really unique, and you do both well. So you have cover artists, and that's a certain style of art, right? It's a still picture, and a lot of people are very good at that. But when it comes to sequential art, it's a lot more difficult taking that same picture and putting that person in a lot of different positions. And obviously, you've mastered both of those. Can you talk about the difference between doing a cover and doing sequential art, the skill set behind that?
Um, so you're right, it is very different. I think I personally enjoy more drawing sequentials, which I know a lot of people would be like, what? Because it's easier to just get that one illustration out. And like with sequentials, there's a little bit of difficulty, like keeping the consistency of the character and having the story, like the reader follow the story without being cut I don't know how to say this, but without being like abruptly, you know,
Yeah.
taken out of the story, you have to like have it be fluid. I think that's one of the main differences, that is consistency with the characters and also having that story flow, because you can have a cover give you a story, right? But it's not gonna go through all those pages, and you have to have that beat continue, that marries perfectly with the writing. Um, so I think how to do the storytelling that has meaning, and it is
Kind of like it flows nicely, right?
right, right. Sorry. It's like I'm trying to find the word, and I'm like,
Okay.
how do you say it in English?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hey.
yeah, it has to flow nicely. So I think also you have to think about angles, camera angles. I like watch a lot of movies because people would think like, oh no, comic books and movies. And yes, they are very different mediums, but movies can give you a lot of ideas with interesting angles. You have to know what angles are to like, represent suspense, um, represent when there's danger, represent every angle is different. And you need to be able to draw in those hard, challenging angles to make it work. And have it and know when to use them as well, because they might look really cool to put the camera in a low angle so the hero looks really cool, but it might not be that right moment to use that angle. And sometimes writers are gonna help you and they're gonna say like, oh, here's the camera is placed here. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say like, this is the scene and that's it. This is like it takes place in this. I don't know, in a library or in I don't know, whatever place the environment they're saying it is. Sometimes they just say that and they're like, okay, so Batman is here, Green Lantern is here, Wonder Woman is here. Um, and they're just sharing about whatever the plan of action they need to take. Sometimes it's just that. And sometimes they will describe more a panel, but sometimes you have to be like, okay, so it's a boring conversation. Um, what do we need to do for that angle? So it's I think that's the main difference, having to know what angles choose to really make that storytelling aspect flow and really transmit something to the reader and capture him or her into the end of the story. That's the main difference, because a cover is just gonna capture you instantly when you see the cover thing is for the reader to look at it and pick it up. So it's a beautiful cover, and you go like, "Oh, I want to read this." Um, and then the storytelling is like an instant capturing moment of like looking at it, wow. And then the storytelling aspect of the sequential art is a little bit more maintaining it and using all those camera angles and watching a lot of movies, so you always keep staying creative and getting ideas from not just comic books but also movies.
Excellent. Yeah. Can you also talk about how important the relationship between the writer and the artist is when you're doing sequential work? Because you kind of touched on that. Like, do you like having very specific directions for each panel, or do you like having a little bit of the freedom to kind of dictate in art what you think the writer is trying to say?
So I think every writer is obviously different.
Yeah.
And I like kind of a mix of both. I like for them to tell me what is happening, but I don't like it when they're prescriptive of everything, because then I feel like I'm being tied down into a chair and just this is what you need to draw and you have to draw exactly like that. Like I don't like it if they go like in the room, there's in the corner of the room, there's this bookshelf that has I don't know how many books and a little toy or something. I don't like that. I want to put like the little Easter eggs myself. It's okay if they tell me, but not be like super prescriptive. So I like I also don't like it when it's like uh Batman and Wonder Woman are talking and that's it, that description. I don't like that either because then it's like
Where? Why? Like all these different.
exactly like okay, so I have to make up everything. So it's a little bit of balance of that and um every writer has a different style. Luckily the ones that I work with, I have liked them all. Um
Good.
and yeah, I've been lucky to work with writers that are, allow me to have freedom, but also tell me like, hey, this is what I was thinking. Um, and some of the writers that I've worked with also, I've been like, we have had like talks, like with Julio Anta, who's the writer of Si Se Puede. We talked like I was thinking that maybe a panel wouldn't work the way he described it, and we got on the phone and we talked it out, and I was like, here, I did. So this is what I do. I do two sets, the one that they describe sometimes, and then the one that I think will work best, and be like, you can pick. Um, and that's how sometimes it gets resolved as well. But yeah, I usually like a balance of not prescriptive. Like I don't think any artist would like somebody that would tell you everything through like how the panel is gonna be and everything because then it's like cutting your wings as an artist and at the end of it it's kind of a collaboration. A comic book is a collaboration between the writer, the artist, the colorist, the letterer, the editor. So everybody's putting a little bit
Input.
in
Yeah.
that. Um, it's
Yeah.
not just one person, I guess. Sometimes people concentrate on just the one, but no, everybody puts something into making that.
Yeah, I agree. As a reader of comics, I could tell when the artist and the writer are not agreeing or they're not on the same page. You could feel it as you're reading the story. So to your point, right, to have that collaboration between everybody, when that happens, it flows really nicely. The story is clear and it's quite enjoyable. So yeah, there's a big difference when the artist and the writer specifically are not on the same page. But even the letterer, when the lettering's in the wrong place and you start to notice a lot of this stuff, right? And yeah, it's super important. Yasmin, can you talk about some of the things that you're working on today that you're allowed to talk about? Are you doing anything on your own? Are you doing stuff with DC and Marvel still? Like, what are you working on today that fans could go find your work?
So I'm working on so first of all, Green Lantern #9 comes
Right,
out
yeah.
in March. Um and then I'm working on another original graphic novel titled We Are Fun. It comes out in 2025, fall of 2025. I'm almost done.
Nice. And will you
um,
do like a crowdfunding or anything like that for that, like a Kickstarter or
no,
no?
it's with it's I did it was with IDW Originals, but they put it now on Top Shelf, I
Oh,
think that's
okay.
called.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be published through Top Shelf.
Oh, that's excellent. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And then some other stuff that I cannot say,
Okay, very good.
but
Yeah. But you're busy. You
but
got a lot of things going on right now, which is exciting.
yes, I'm keeping thriving and luckily I'm lucky to be working with DC and IDW and it's been good. I'm happy.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah. So how do people find out more? I know you have a website, if I'm not mistaken. It is yasfm.com. And there they could see a lot of your work. They could even purchase really cool gear of your work, which is great. So where else can people find you if they want to follow you?
On Instagram, and then which is YASFM art. That's my
Your handle, yeah.
handle. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and that's on all socials, Blue Sky. Um, Twitter, X, I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever it
whatever they're
is.
calling it. Are you
And
on
I,
TikTok as well, or no?
yes, yes, I am on TikTok. I started to do some TikToks, but I'm really bad at stuff like that. I try to be more proactive with socials, but it's hard.
Well, especially if
Um,
you're busy drawing a lot, right? Yeah.
yeah, and like it takes a lot of like I feel like doing socials is another full job. Um, like yeah, I'm sure like editing videos gets really hard and it takes more time than people actually think.
Yeah.
You know, people would think, oh, that's easy, you do it quickly, but no, it takes more time and scheduling interviews and stuff like that. It takes more time. People just don't really think it does, but it does.
Yasmin, it's a lot of
So
begging. That's what it is. It's a lot of begging. Will you please come on my podcast?
no, I mean, I think a lot of it is you ask so nicely, and I think that a lot of people, like I myself, I enjoy doing this stuff because drawing at home is very lonely. So getting to talk to people is really fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, I enjoy it, and I just love comics so much that there's a lot of people that do reviews on comics, and they highlight what's wrong. And again, there's a space for that. That's okay. That's what they do. But I like to focus on all the positive, just because I think there's a lot of really good things happening. Any industry that you look at, there's good and there's bad. The bad needs to be fixed. It needs to be talked about. But sometimes you could focus just on that and you forget all the amazing things that are actually happening that are really good. So I stay more on the good side and I let other people do kind of the other stuff. They're better at it anyways, and it makes me feel bad. So I stay on the positive side because I really do love the medium. I think comic books has had a huge impact on my life for so long. I always wanted to be an artist and I do like to draw, but I'm not very good at it. Right. So I'm a better reader of comics and collector of comics. So
Well, I'm sure that you're better than what you think, and it's
maybe,
all
but
about practice. It's
yeah.
all about that. I think a lot of people, you know, say that, but they're better than what they think.
I appreciate that, Jasmine. Yeah.
No, but it's true. It's true, and also, uh, it's a lot about taking that step of like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I don't care if they like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because,
that's a good
you
point.
know, yeah, haters are always gonna be there.
Yeah.
But if you create an impact on somebody and somebody likes it, and that's enough.
I needed that pep talk. Thank you. I appreciate
No,
that.
but for real, I would like to see it.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
like to
I'll
see
send you
some of your
pictures.
work.
All right, so
Yes, send me some and continue drawing because art is it's the best to get all your feelings and transmit something. At least that's what I think. It might be because I study also art history, but that's what I think.
no, I think that's beautiful, and I think you're right. I mean, art in all kinds of forms, right, has the ability to impact people in a positive way. So I agree with you on that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I can't wait, right? So people should be waiting 2025 IDW. You'll have your own title out. So you're doing the drawing, the writing, the everything in
No,
this?
I'm doing just the art, the
Oh, the art.
illustration.
Excellent.
Yes,
Very good.
Andre Fratino is writing
Nice.
this is a graphic novel. So you get the whole story from beginning to end.
That's cool.
So it's a big book that I've been working for it for almost it's been like 6 months now. So I'm about I have until June, July for my last deadline. So
Nice. That's exciting. Do you like that better, doing a graphic novel where you have from beginning to end, as opposed to like a maybe a month to month where maybe you're waiting on some direction? I don't know if that makes sense. Is one easier than the other, or is it kind of the same in your experience?
I mean, it's good to know the sorry the ending. It's good to know because sometimes when you have like a monthly book, um, and it would it would be good to know the ending because maybe you can put hints in the drawing, the illustration of like of something that's gonna happen, like an Easter egg, right? Sometimes you don't get that. Um, But I think that's the good part about a long format graphic novel from the beginning to end. Um, I also like it because I have a long time to do it. Um, and it's just me program. Of course, you need to be very good at programming yourself and organization because you would think like, oh, I have a lot of time, but no, you don't. You have
It
to
goes fast,
actually,
right? All of a sudden you're like, the deadline's quick, right?
yeah, and you have to sit down every day. It's what it is. But I guess it also gives me time to work on other stuff, like with DC, I've done it because I have like that main big book, but I also can take other stuff because I program myself and be like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is when this is due and that, whatever. But yeah, I don't know which one I enjoy the most. I think the good thing about a monthly book also is that I think it keeps you a little bit more. It keeps you the artist and the creative team a little bit more fresh. Whereas the graphic novel, it gets a little bit to the point that um you might drag too much. I don't know if
Yeah, that makes sense.
it
They could have
depends
they
on
could
the
have told
artist.
that story in like 50 pages instead of 80 pages, right?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes they put you like they have to be a count of pages that the publisher requires. And sometimes, the story actually demands all of those pages. But I think what I'm saying is that sometimes um, with a monthly book, you get a fresh air every month, I guess.
Yeah.
And with this, you already know. So it's good. It's like it's the good thing and the bad thing. I don't know how to really say it, but it's good and bad at the same time because it could be to the point that you get tired or not. Sometimes you don't get tired and you're excited for it to be like continue. And sometimes it depends. I don't know if I'm
Oh,
answering
yeah, I
well
think there's
or
good and bad in each of them, right? There's some positive that you like about having a longer story where you know the ending and you can add the Easter eggs, and then the month to month, sometimes it's a good break from the story and maybe you get to draw something a little different, right? I could
exactly.
see
That's
that.
exactly
Yeah, I could see that. No, I think
it.
you came across very clear on that. Yeah, absolutely, Jasmine.
And also like with a graphic novel you're then working with those characters only, and then with a monthly book they would be like, okay, now you're working with this character and with this character, and it keeps you fresh, and with new challenges. And that's I think what I also like the monthly books as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow, Jasmine, I think that's incredible. I most artists that I've talked to have created kind of their own characters as well, for maybe a story that they've been thinking about over the years. Will we get to a point where we have maybe a graphic novel from Jasmine of her own characters with her own story where you're doing everything in that? Is that something that you've been thinking
Of
about?
course.
Yeah.
Yes. So obviously I'm an artist first, but I do have like all of these ideas in my head, and I have like scripts started and everything. I just need more time. But yes, eventually I'm working on other. When I have free time, I actually on the weekends try to do my own stuff, the stuff that I want to work with, because I do love telling stories, and I do love also creating my own characters and stuff. Um, Sometimes I just kind of create a character and then be like, oh, this character can belong in this world, and then just create a whole story around just that design that I might have, sketch for fun. So yes, the answer, the law. I rambled too much. So
No, you're good. You're good.
sorry.
You're good. Yeah.
I ramble a little bit too much, but yes, the answer is yes, eventually, hopefully, when I have like it's just going slow. It's just going slow because I'm not doing it like my day job is, the graphic novel, the shorts that I do for DCE or Marvel or whatever, or the covers. That's my day job. So that's, from 9 to 5, I'll work on that. And then after that, I probably don't draw more because I'm tired of drawing 8 hours.
Yeah, I
But
could
in
see
the
that.
weekends,
That's a lot.
yeah, yeah, like I feel like so jealous of the people that actually say like, after I finish everything, I just kind of draw whatever I want or like my passion project of the things that I want to do and stuff like that. I'm like, how can you do that after drawing the whole day? Like I love it, but my hand needs to rest. I
Yeah.
need to move. I can't stay like in the chair all day. You need to, get out and walk because then you're gonna get like how do you say when your legs are like asleep?
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna be all stiff and you can't, yeah.
And your back is gonna kill you. No, no, you need to also move. So I try, and in the weekends I try to like spend few hours each day, like Saturday and Sunday, on stuff that I want to draw and want to do personally, like passion projects that are my own. So hopefully in the future, it might take a while because I'm only having the weekends, but
Well,
it
that's
will
exciting.
come.
That's exciting. Well, very good, Jasmine. Is there anything else that you want to let people know that you're doing or any other information, or did we cover pretty much everything?
I think we did, because I can't say, I can't, it sucks because sometimes you have
Yeah.
stuff to say and you can.
Yeah, I know you got to be really careful with that. So yeah, we certainly don't want to know something we're not supposed to know. But just if you were working on something that you haven't mentioned yet. But yeah, that's great, Jasmine. I can't tell you how much I appreciate meeting you. I've seen you in other interviews. I'm like, I'm gonna reach out and see if she'll come on because I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I think your path is a very unique path. Probably one that not everyone's going to be able to take, right? Because DC only takes a certain amount of people through their program. But to see how long it takes to get to a point where you start to have consistent work, I think as an artist, you get rejection letters, maybe no one responds, very normal. You're not doing anything wrong. I think that's a very normal experience. And you have to persevere and keep working on your craft, keep sending in, and eventually someone will notice. And all you need is that one big break. And you might wait 6 months to a year for your next one, but over time, right? And now look at you, you hardly have any time to do your own thing, which I think is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
But
you.
I think that's
Thank
the
you.
path that most people have to take, right?
Yeah, it's just I always say to people patience and perseverance because I know it can be very because I've been through it. Um, it can be very discouraging when they say no or they send you those rejection letters we had gotten. I didn't mention this, but in 2018 I also got a portfolio review with Marvel, and they gave me this feedback, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. They gave me this test and everything, and then it was like they said like, oh, you have to work on this. And I was like, okay, I worked on it. I show you again samples, and then nothing happens. And sometimes they don't even respond to you, and you get rejections or rejections or rejections, or sometimes nothing at all. Just like you just sending and nothing.
You
And
almost
and
rather
it's
get a
patience.
rejection letter so you know, right?
Right. Like some, I appreciate all the time that an editor would take the time to say like, this wasn't for you or something like that. But in the beginning, you don't get an answer. You don't get even a blast email of rejection. In the beginning, you get nothing. Yeah, it's been a rejection, but it's nice when they actually, even if it's a blast email, but it's nice that you get that rejection so you can have it close and be like, okay, I'm gonna move to the next. But even if you don't get it, just keep moving on because it's a game of, obviously you have to work on your craft, but it's a game of perseverance, patience, and self-awareness. Know where are you standing right now. So who are the top artists or the writers? Look at them, look at their work, but also look, at other comic books that are coming out and be like, okay, I think I'm closer to this person or I need to get to this level. I think if people have that self-awareness, it would be a lot easier. And then obviously there's no such thing as luck. Everybody says like, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, no, It is hard work, and it is looking for the opportunities. Luck is gonna find you if you go to New York Comic Con, if you go to San Diego, if you go to Heroes Con, if you go to all those cons and you keep knocking on the door, even though they keep slamming it at you, you're gonna keep knocking. And if you do, somebody eventually is gonna open that door. And if nobody opens the door, you make that book yourself and you sell it or put it online as a web comic or do something, and then eventually they will get the attention of somebody.
That's incredible. Excuse me. That's incredible. And I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like, yeah, some people they expect it like the next day, and that's just not how it works. There's a lot of people competing for those spots. So, well, congratulations to you that you have one of
Thank
those
you.
spots. That's incredible. And
Well,
man, I'm so
it's
happy
hard
for you.
work.
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's like trying the best. And I feel like a lot of people say, oh, it's easier now to get into the industry than before. And I'm not saying that is I think that it had before it had its challenges, and now I think it still does because you're now there might be a lot more open doors,
Mm,
but the competition is a lot more because
yeah.
it's globally basically. And you have an amazing artist that might do or writer they might do the same job you're doing in the same level that you're at for a lot cheaper price.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Yeah.
that's something that you're also competing with.
Yeah, that's good and bad, right?
There's the good and bad. So it's a whole thing about a balance and perseverance, patience, and all of that I said.
And such good feedback for artists to hear. And I think that's a beautiful thing because I know a lot of artists that are doing, some sequential art, a lot of covers, and they're doing it for a lot of independent creators, which I think is great too, because at least you get your work out there. You kind of build a portfolio that you could show like a DC or a Marvel. So I think it's important, but they want to break through on a larger, publisher, right? And you just have to be patient. You have to be consistent. And like you said, you have to persevere, and nothing is easy. Like you said, it's not lucky, it's hard work. Because at the end of the day, right, DC isn't hiring artists based on luck. They're doing it based on a certain skill set that they're looking for that meets whatever the story is or the cover needs. So you got to be really good at what you do, and you have to persevere.
Yeah, and I would add one more thing to that is that um, you could be the best artist or the
Mhm.
best writer in the world. And one, if you're not putting it out there, or two, if you're not easy to work with, even though you might be the most amazing person and you, I mean, nobody wants to work with an asshole. I'm sorry for
Yeah,
saying that, but nobody wants to work with somebody that doesn't take feedback or anything like that. That's something also that I've I've seen. I have known people that are very very good and might not be like working for the publisher that they would want because they don't take feedback.
yeah.
So that's
Sure.
also one thing that I would add to be nice and be genuine, be also yourself.
That's amazing. Great feedback. Great feedback. Well, Jasmine, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on. I hope we could do this again, especially when some of the other stuff that you can't talk about right now starts to come out. Maybe you could come back and we could kind of talk about it. But I think that would be amazing. But really appreciate you coming on. Congratulations on your success.
Thank
Well
you.
deserved. And hope to see you again very soon.
Yes, and thank you for having me. And I'm sorry you had to get up early.
No, it's okay. I get the older I get, the earlier I seem to wake up. So it's okay. I've been up for a while. It was worth it though
Okay.
to be able to meet you and talk about your work. So I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. It was fun, especially if like I said, you just get to draw alone and you don't talk to a lot of people. So it's nice.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to kind of break up your day a little bit. So, but I
Yes.
appreciate you and I wish you all the best, Jasmine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.